Ethan Cole had learned not to expect much from life anymore. At 38, his world revolved around two things: his 6-year-old daughter Lily, and the long shifts he worked just to keep them afloat. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him with grief he never fully spoke about and responsibilities he never complained about. He packed lunches, braided messy hair before school, and fell asleep most nights fully dressed on the couch, exhausted but grateful Lily was safe beside him. He worked as a freelance IT consultant, picking up contracts wherever he could. That's how he met Claire Harrington, the youngest female CEO in the city, sharp-eyed, composed, and always 10 steps ahead of everyone else. She ran a tech company worth millions, but somehow, she spoke to Ethan like he mattered. Not like an employee, not like someone beneath her. Just like a person. Their conversations were always professional, short, polite, but sometimes, late at night during system upgrades, they'd talk about life. Ethan mentioned Lily once, almost apologetically. Claire didn't interrupt, she listened. That surprised him, so when she called him one Thursday evening and said, "Ethan, I need a favor," he expected more work. Instead, she said, "Can you come over for dinner tomorrow night?" He laughed awkwardly. "I think you've got the wrong number." "I don't," she said quickly. "Please, it's not business. I'll explain." She sounded nervous. Claire Harrington, nervous. He almost said no. Single dads don't have the luxury of spontaneous dinners. Babysitters cost money. Time costs energy. But Lily was at a sleepover with her aunt, and something in Claire's voice felt urgent. "Okay," he said, "just dinner." When he arrived at her house, his breath caught. It wasn't just big, it was intimidating. A place built for people who belonged in magazines, not men who fixed servers for a living. He straightened his jacket, already regretting this. Claire opened the door herself. She wasn't in a power suit. She wore a simple dress. No armor. Her smile looked forced. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I owe you." Inside, candles were lit. The table was set for 4. "Claire," Ethan said slowly, "why are there 4 plates?" That's when headlights flashed through the window. Her face went pale. "My parents are here," she whispered. "Ethan, I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend." He stared at her. "What?" Before he could process it, the doorbell rang. She grabbed his wrist, not tight, but desperate. "Please, just for tonight. I'll explain everything later. If this goes wrong, I could lose more than you realize." The doorbell rang again. Ethan had a choice: walk away, or step into a lie that could shatter them both. He stayed. Chapter 2. The lie that turned into truth. Chapter 2. Hook to keep viewers till the end. The lie was supposed to last one dinner, but what happened when her parents asked why she loved him changed everything. Claire's parents were nothing like Ethan expected. Her mother, Margaret, was warm but observant. Her father, Richard, was quiet, sharp, and intimidating in a way money often brings. They studied Ethan with polite smiles that felt like background checks. "So you're the man our daughter's been hiding," Margaret said gently. Ethan nearly choked on his water. Claire slid her hand into his, a silent plea. "Yes, ma'am," he said, surprising himself with how steady his voice sounded. Dinner was torture. Questions came like waves. Where did they meet? What did he do for a living? What were his plans? Richard's eyes narrowed when Ethan mentioned freelance work. "Instability?" Richard asked. "How do you provide for my daughter?" Ethan felt the sting. He'd felt it his whole life. Before he could answer, Claire spoke. "He provides in ways that don't fit on a balance sheet, Dad." That shocked everyone, including Ethan. Later, when Margaret asked how long they'd been together, Claire hesitated. Ethan felt it then, the weight of her lie crushing her. "Long enough," Ethan said quietly, "to know she's not as cold as people think. She just learned early that no one stays unless she's perfect." Silence fell. Claire looked at him, eyes glossy. After dinner, her parents left with polite smiles and unspoken approval. The moment the door closed, Claire broke down. "I'm sorry," she said, tears falling freely. "I never should have dragged you into this. They think I'm incapable of love. That my work is all I have. I was tired of proving myself." Ethan nodded. "So you used me?" "Yes," she whispered. "And I hate myself for it." He should have been angry, but instead, he saw something familiar, a person surviving the only way they knew how. They sat in silence. Then Ethan stood. "I should go." She nodded, ashamed. At the door, she said, "I'll pay you for tonight." That hurt more than the lie. "I don't need your money," he said. I just hope someday you won't need a lie to feel enough. Weeks passed. No calls. No messages. Then one afternoon, Ethan was called into Lily's school. He panicked, assuming the worst. Instead, he found Claire standing there, awkward and unsure, holding a donation receipt. I funded the school's tech program, she said softly. But that's not why I'm here. Lily ran up and hugged Ethan. Claire's breath caught. That, she said, voice shaking, is why I'm here. She knelt. Hi, Lily, I'm Claire. Lily smiled. Are you my daddy's friend? Claire looked up at Ethan. I hope, more than that. If he'll let me try. For real this time, no lies. Ethan took a long breath. Love hadn't come from pretending. It came from choosing honesty, despite fear. Months later, Claire introduced Ethan to the world again. This is my boyfriend, she said proudly. This time, it wasn't a lie. Chapter 2. Emma Lawson believed love was built, not bought. She'd been with Daniel for 7 years. 7 birthdays. 7 holidays. 7 years of believing they were climbing life together. She stood in her wedding dress backstage at a luxury hotel ballroom when Daniel didn't show up on time. Her phone buzzed once, then again. Finally, a message came through, not panic, not apology. We need to talk. Privately, she found him in the hallway, suit perfect, face calm in a way that felt rehearsed. He didn't touch her, didn't even look guilty. I can't marry you, he said. Not today. Emma laughed in disbelief. Daniel, this isn't funny. He sighed, like she was exhausting him. An investor I've been courting made an offer. She wants a partner who's fully committed, personally and professionally. Marriage complicates things. Emma's ears rang. You're leaving me, for an investor. It's not personal, he said. It's strategic. That word broke her. Strategic. 7 years reduced to a business decision. When Daniel walked away, he didn't see Emma collapse onto the floor. But Rachel Moore did. Rachel had been Emma's best friend since college. Quiet, practical, always in the background. She knelt beside Emma without a word, holding her as the world shattered. Rachel canceled the wedding, handled the guests, took Emma home, slept on the floor beside her bed like a guard dog protecting something wounded. For weeks, Emma barely spoke. Rachel stayed. She cooked, cleaned, listened, never once said, I told you so. One night, Emma whispered, he said I wasn't an asset. Rachel's jaw tightened. You're not something to be owned. That was the first time Emma saw anger in her best friend. Months later, Emma met Mark Reyes. Mark was a single father with tired eyes and a gentle voice. His wife had died 2 years earlier, leaving him to raise his 8-year-old son Noah alone. He worked long hours as a maintenance supervisor at a residential complex. Life had taught him to expect loss and keep going anyway. Emma met him at a community fundraiser Rachel insisted she attend. Mark wasn't charming. He was kind. He talked about Noah like the world made sense again when his son laughed. Emma felt safe around him, something she hadn't felt in a long time. They started dating quietly. Daniel found out. He laughed. You downgraded, he told her. From ambition to baggage. Emma said nothing, but Rachel watched from across the room, eyes cold. Then came the accident. Mark was injured at work, nothing life-threatening, but enough to put him out of work temporarily. Bills piled up. Emma helped where she could, but Mark hated being a burden. Stress crept into their relationship like a slow poison. One night, Mark said softly, you deserve more stability than I can give. Emma's heart cracked again. She went back to Rachel's apartment, sobbing. I'm tired of loving men who leave, she said. Rachel held her hand, then stopped choosing men who run. Emma looked at her best friend differently that night. Weeks later, Emma made a decision that shocked everyone, including herself. She asked Rachel to marry her. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't dramatic. It was honest. They'd been each other's constant. Their safe place. Their truth. Rachel hesitated only long enough to ask one question. Are you sure this isn't pain talking? Emma nodded. It's clarity. They married at City Hall. No guests. No cameras. No promises beyond. I won't leave. What Emma didn't know was who Rachel really was. And what Mark didn't know was that the woman who'd just become Emma's wife was about to walk back into his life in a way none of them expected. Chapter 2. The Truth No One Saw Coming. Chapter 2. Hook to keep viewers till the end. What happens when the man who was once not enough discovers the woman he overlooked as the most powerful person in the room? Rachel never talked about her work. She wore simple clothes, drove an old car, lived modestly. People assumed she was middle management at best. Emma never questioned it. She loved Rachel for who she was, not what she did. What Emma didn't know was that Rachel Moore was the founder and CEO of a private equity firm operating quietly behind the scenes. She believed money spoke loudest when it stayed silent. Her name never appeared in headlines, but her influence shaped companies, careers, and futures. Including Daniel's. Months after the wedding, Emma received a call. Daniel's startup had collapsed. The investor he'd chosen over Emma had pulled out overnight. No explanation, no warning. Daniel showed up at Emma's door, desperate. "I made a mistake," he said. "I see that now." Emma listened calmly. Then she smiled sadly. "I don't." He noticed Rachel standing behind her. "Oh," Daniel scoffed. "So this is the replacement." Rachel met his eyes. "No, I'm the upgrade." He laughed, until his phone buzzed. An email. Subject line: funding termination. His face drained of color. Rachel spoke quietly. "I acquired the firm that acquired your debt." Daniel stared. "You?" "Yes," she said. "And I believe in accountability more than strategy." He left without another word. Meanwhile, Mark had recovered and returned to work. One afternoon, his supervisor called him in. "We've been bought out," the man said. "New ownership. Big changes coming." Mark braced himself for layoffs. Instead, the next day, Rachel walked into the building. Not as Emma's friend, not as a quiet observer, but as the CEO. Mark froze. Rachel smiled gently. "Hello, Mark." He couldn't speak. Later, in private, she said, "I know this is a shock. But nothing about who I am with you has changed." Mark swallowed. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" "Because I wanted to be loved without leverage," she said. "And I wanted Emma to heal without thinking she was being saved." Emma found out that night. She didn't cry. She laughed. "You let me think we were broke," she said. Rachel smiled. "You were never broken, just hurt." Together, they helped Mark get promoted, not because of favors, but because of competence. They built a family that chose honesty over pride. Years later, Emma stood on a stage beside Rachel, supporting a foundation for single parents. Daniel watched from the crowd, uninvited, invisible. Emma took the microphone. "Love isn't a transaction," she said. "The moment someone sells you, they lose the right to return." Rachel squeezed her hand, and Mark, once deemed not enough, stood taller than ever, knowing this time, love hadn't chosen him for strategy, but for truth.